this Sunday morning. Hope you guys are having a great day. Got my cat here. That's Chunky. Just want to see how you guys are doing with your autoimmunity and if there's anything going on that you guys are experiencing right now on your Sunday. Yesterday, we were talking a whole lot about autoimmunity and blood sugar, and we were talking about joint pain, and we were talking about all sorts of things. So I have another cat trying to join me. Hi, Chucky. So I've got cats everywhere. So sitting here on my patio, hope having a great Sunday in California. Are you guys dealing with some autoimmunity? Are you, whoa, sorry, lost you. Are you guys dealing with autoimmunity? What are you dealing with right now? Are you dealing with joint pain, fatigue? I have a lot of patients that are coming to me with rashes and joint pain and exhaustion. That seems to be the current thing that's happening. I'm having some patients coming in with like long COVID and trying to figure out why we're dealing with so much autoimmunity right now. We have a lot of autoimmune disease happening here. So seems like that's a big topic. So are you guys doing vitamin D? Are you doing vitamin D every day? What other supplements are you doing? So my supplement stack that I usually have my patients deal with, um, and oh, hey, we had a consult. Oh, thank you. My ANA went back negative. Okay, that happens. You know what's funny? The ANA can be positive and then it can go negative and then it can get really high. Sometimes it can change. You know, the immune system is really wacky sometimes. So I'm glad to see you, Kate, though. I'm glad that hopefully you're feeling a little bit better. So much going on with everybody's immune systems right now. You know, we get stressed, we get anxious, we don't sleep. I mean, listen, the whole world is so crazy right now. I think that what's happening too is that people are really stressed and they're not sleeping that well. They're worried. Christmas is coming. People are financially stressed, and we're trying to figure out how to keep everybody's immune system calm. Now, we're heading into winter, so we want to think about like viruses are coming. Now, COVID seems to be here year round, right? But we bigger viruses are coming in the fall and winter, right? The flu's coming. What are you guys doing to kind of bolster your immune system? We have to be careful, especially if you have autoimmunity. We don't want to be doing lots of echinacea, golden seal, things like that that stimulate our immune system because we don't want our immune system to go higher, right? Our immune system needs to chill out and calm down a little bit. So it needs to be modulated, right? So things that are safe for people with autoimmunity to get your immune system going, vitamin D and glutathione, those are my top two. Oh, the opinion on the flu shot. It's so tricky, isn't it? I mean, I feel like the flu and COVID are like living in the same land. They're viruses, right? We've never really been good at predicting what viruses are going to do next, right? So, we think about the strains, they're using AI, they're trying to figure out like what's the next strain going to be. And then it takes a while to make that strain, to make that vaccine, right? And then you get the vaccine, and sometimes they hit it and sometimes they don't. It seems like it's about a 33% rate of like success on knowing the strain. Right? Last year they got the strain. They nailed it. Great. Other years they haven't. COVID has been tricky because it's also a virus that changes. There's so many strains out there that are COVID strains that are not predictable, right? So it's hard when you don't know the strain that's coming and then you're getting this injection. The injection is going to get your immune system bolstered and it's going to get it stimulated. Now, when you have autoimmunity, it's hard to stimulate your immune system because now your immune system is going to attack you a little bit more, right? So this is what's so tricky. So what are we supposed to be doing, right? So if you're going to do a vaccine, do it early. Do it now, right? Once you hit Thanksgiving and you've got family and friends coming and you've got all this exposures, and if you live in a cold area, you're going to be inside more, exposed to people. Make sure you're taking your vitamin D, make sure you're taking your glutathione. If you can get both of those things, that would be great. Also, mushrooms can be super helpful. I don't know if you guys are taking any of those. Things you want to think about that drive our immune system down is eating too much sugar, right? And what happens when we're going, from Halloween to Thanksgiving to Christmas? It's like sugar, sugar, sugar. So they did this really interesting study on a 150-pound person, and I made a video on this just a couple days ago on Halloween. That if a 150-pound person eats 6 of those little snack-sized Skittles, it lowers their immune system by 50% for 5 hours. So then you're like, where are you going to be for the next 5 hours and who you're going to be around and who's sneezing on you and who's coughing on you. So it really makes you more vulnerable to getting sick. So we want to be careful about how much we get exposed to. Um, and we want to make sure we're not around people that are super sick, but also if you work in like a hospital, you work in healthcare, you're going to get exposures. So you want to be careful how much sugar you're eating, right? Um, that is my cat Meep. Hi Meep. So and so I think that what we need to think about is doing vitamin D. We're going to be doing, oh, there's a little Meep show. Hi, Meep. Um, she doesn't usually join me on my lives, but there she is. So we want to think about getting lots of sleep. You lose sleep, and oh man, I don't know if you guys are using these Aura rings. I tell you, when I'm wearing my Aura ring and I don't sleep well, my HRV or all my ability to recover from stress gets down really low. And then I start feeling like I'm getting a sinus infection or I still feel like I'm getting sick. So, I mean, sleep is huge, vitamin D is huge. Not eating too much sugar is really big. But I mean, those are kind of the regulars, but are we really doing it, right? And vitamin D is really huge. Like I want you to have 5,000 IUs of vitamin D. I really do. I want you to have a lot of vitamin D and really get your vitamin D. Like if you're doing your vitamin D on your labs, I want them to be 70, 80, 90. I want it to be up in the upper range. I don't want it to be in the lower range. Most of the patients that I take a look at their lab work, even if they're taking vitamin D, it's like their vitamin D is 30, 35. It's not enough. So that's a really helpful thing to be doing is just do your vitamin D. Um, what we should do, yeah, it used to be 9. Oh my gosh, that's crazy, right? I have patients who have really low vitamin D that also feel really anxious and depressed. And it's really a big deal for your brain. Your vitamin D is like a hormone. So it's really important. How can you help your circadian rhythm? So, yeah, if you can just work with the light, right? So get up in the morning whenever you wake up and get your eyes in the sun, get your eyes in that earlier morning sun, and really get yourself in the sun for maybe, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes possibly, and then really go in your day. Because a lot of us like work inside, right? So we're not really getting that sun exposure. And then really try to keep your screen time down, like, an hour and a half or so before bed. Maybe get the blue light, get that orange light, like seriously stop with your tail. Um, get that, they have that blue light filter on your phone and on iPads and things like that. So seeing if that can help because and can you do an eye cover at night? That has been a big game changer for me because I didn't realize how sensitive I am to the light. And when the light comes up, I'm awake. So darken your room. Can you darken your room? That would be really helpful. I mean, how are you guys sleeping? Are we sleeping? One thing I want you to think about is are you waking up in the middle of the night? Okay, so we talked about this on my last live because I really want people to understand that when you wake up in the middle of the night, I'd say 80% of people they're having nocturnal hypoglycemia, which means nighttime, low blood sugar. So you're cruising along, and then in the middle of the night, your blood sugar crashes, and then you wake up. You wake up in the middle of the night because you drink too much before bed. Yeah, yeah. Just drinking regular water can be a problem. Drinking alcohol can be a problem. Drinking anything too late can make you want to get up and go to the bathroom. But what happens is if you run out of blood sugar in the middle of the night, your body goes to your liver and pulls out stored sugar, dumps it into your bloodstream to get your bloodstream back up with proper glucose. But you have to use adrenaline to get that out. So that's a problem, right? That all of a sudden you get an adrenaline surge in the middle of the night. You could think maybe my blood sugar's dropping. Maybe you should get a continuous glucose monitor, like on the back of your arm. You can get these CGMs. They're only like I think $46 a piece. Get a couple of them because one lasts for 2 weeks. So you could do like a whole month for like under $100. There's a Lingo and there's a Stello. And both of those are really, really helpful. So you could just see what's happening in the middle of the night. I mean, what if your blood sugar's dropping down to 50 in the middle of the night and it's waking you up? Because your body's like, I need to generate some blood sugar. So that sometimes happens. So if you are not sleeping through the night, let's figure that out. If are you having like, oh, lingo is not accurate. You know what I'm finding with lingo? Well, and with Stello too, that they do say in in all of their information that they might be up to 20 points off. So here's how I say you use it. Just use it and watch the spikes and the crashes. Don't get super, super focused on the actual number. Like, I really want people to understand how much it's spiking them and what foods are actually spiking them, right? So it can be a little off too. So and same with Stello, but it's just getting an idea if you're crashing or if you're spiking. Different races prone to different diseases. Sure, my goodness. I mean, boy, your genetics are interesting, aren't they? There's definitely genetics that lead you toward certain diseases. I mean, of course. But like for me, I work with a lot of people with autoimmunity who also have their mom has autoimmunity, their sister has autoimmunity, their grandma has autoimmunity. So what are we going to do with you to try to get your immune system to not go crazy, right? Same thing with I work with people with cognitive decline, so brain dysfunction. So the ApoE44, which can lend to itself to really, it's almost like a real for sure you're going to get Alzheimer's. You can really change the course of that depending on what you're doing with your blood sugar, and what you're doing with your inflammation, your vitamin D, your exercise. I do a whole brain presentation around this on preventing cognitive decline. So really want to get your brain as good as it can be, especially if your genetics say that you could say get Alzheimer's, right? So just because I mean, the ApoE Alzheimer's genes really indicate how well your brain cleans out the tangles in your brain, like the tau and all the amyloid beta and all the tangly stuff that gets in our brain. So that's what it does. So get a sauna, make sure you sleep, make sure that you're not spiking your blood sugar. You know, there's a lot of things you can do. So yeah. So a dopamine detox. Well, what's happening? I mean, if you feel like you are too wired, you might be dealing with like a lot of high stress, not sleeping a lot. We want to get your circadian rhythm back. We want to get you sleeping better. I want you to be making sure that you're not like, boy, dopamine. I mean, if you're on TikTok, you just kind of like are getting constant dopamine hits, right? So sometimes just getting some time away from your phone, right? That can be really helpful. And just getting out in nature and taking a walk and like looking around and getting your face off your screen can be really helpful too. You wake up 3-ish and stay in light sleep mode until morning. And you have good energy level during the day, that's great. You know, it'd be interesting to see if you got kind of an Aura ring at some point to kind of measure or something to even like a watch or something that measures your deep sleep versus your REM sleep. Be interesting to know where you are in that, and how you're doing with that. So it and really, you know, wait, what if you did a little bit of protein and fat like an hour before you went to bed to see if you stayed asleep longer? And is there something at 3 a.m. that's waking you up? I mean, if it's blood sugar, it's one thing, but sometimes it's a cat, sometimes it's a dog or a kid or, you know, the garbage truck outside or something like that, right? Or the light starts to come up at 5 a.m. I know that works, that happens to me. So I have to have an eye cover. Otherwise, I can't sleep late. So, yes. So we want to think about ways to optimize our health and our energy and our body. How are you guys doing with your blood sugar and food and veggies and protein? Are we eating enough protein? How are we doing with protein? So you know that really they're recommending like 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So that's a lot of protein, right? I want women especially to be getting at least 100 grams of protein a day. And it's actually a literal chore. It's literally work, right? To actually make sure that you get enough protein. So that's something that we want to think about, like protein for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, stabilize your blood sugar. Because boy, the blood sugars of my patients have been spiking like crazy. It's been crazy. And you know, when you increase your blood sugar, you increase your insulin, and then you increase your ability to like make more belly fat when you have high insulin. Okay. That's when you get belly fat, is when we spike our blood sugar and spike our insulin. So working on your blood sugar is a really good idea for your overall inflammation. Are you guys looking at your blood work? Do you have inflammation markers? Are you looking at inflammation markers? Are you looking at your cholesterol markers? Um, there's one marker that I really like to look at to check to see how people's blood sugar is doing. It's their triglycerides. Do you guys have markers where you can look at your triglycerides? I want your triglycerides to be below 100. I'm not super freaked out about total cholesterol numbers, but we want to make sure that your inflammation is not going up and your blood sugar is not going up and it's not driving your cholesterol up and it's not driving all of that up. You want to know what functional medicine means. So let me tell you about this. So there's a group of practitioners that can order labs, medical doctors, osteopaths, let's see, naturopaths and chiropractors, all four. Those four can order labs. Anytime you can order labs, you can send people for labs or microbiome testing or such. And then functional medicine works with like more optimal ranges, and they don't do disease ranges. The labs do disease ranges. So we're working to try to keep people in optimal ranges so that you can live more optimally, not to just wait for disease. So that's what we're working on. So we want to think about vitamin D is really helpful, and weaving in some good functional medicine strategies in with whatever you have going on, right? So do you have inflammation? Do you have prediabetes? Do you have autoimmunity? Um, do you have just generalized, some people are dealing with prediabetes or diabetes and they're getting neuropathies. That's been a big deal. So little numbness in the ends of tips of your fingers, numbness in the tips of your toes. What I'm finding is that some of my patients actually they have neuropathies in their feet, but they also have neuropathies in their gut, and it really affects their gut motility, so they get really constipated. You guys ever heard of anything like that? So I've been dealing with a lot of patients that don't have good gut motility, so they get bloating with meals and lots of bloating. Anybody getting a lot of bloating? I'm finding that I have a fair amount of patients that don't have enough hydrochloric acid in their stomach, and they don't digest their meats very well, and they have H. pylori in their stomach. So H. pylori is a bacteria that lives in your stomach, and it can lower the acid in your stomach. So then you don't have enough acid to digest your food. So I don't know if that's happening with you guys. So it's been kind of interesting dealing with patients who really just come in with reflux and bloated and yeah, so bloated 24/7. Now to give it H. pylori. Okay, have you tried taking some betaine hydrochloride before? Be interesting to take some. It's either called betaine hydrochloride or they call it hydrochloric acid. Fine. Um, you know, there's a couple really good supplements that you can get, like betaine hydrochloride. You've tried that. Does that cause reflux for you? Does that help? No? Oh yeah, you can message me if you have some questions. That's fine. So here's another thing to think about. So you want to think about one, are you digesting your food? Two, you probably have an overgrowth of bad bacteria. So there's a lot of like we have good guys and bad guys in our gut. Our microbiome is full of good guys and bad guys. That's fine. We don't have to like sterilize your gut. Good guys, bad guys, no problem. Now, what happens is the bad guys get overgrown. And then when you eat, they actually release methane and hydrogen gas, make you super bloated. It can make you constipated, it can make you have diarrhea, it can make you just have IBS, right? So you might want to just get on a killer, right? You might want to get on like do you know if you have SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth? Um, that's something that can happen um when you have all the bloating and stuff. You can actually kill those bad guys off. Okay. Um, Famotidine helps a bit in probiotics. Okay, that's helpful. Maybe you need to grow your good bacteria a little bit better. Sometimes when you have bloating, you have too many bad guys. You had tried antibiotics for SIBO, but it didn't work. Okay, so you could do a low level every day for like 6 months. It doesn't have to be an actual antibiotic. So if you have SIBO, if you have bloating, you could take something. One of my favorite ones is a Designs for Health product called GI Microbex. GI Microbe with an X at the end. If you need a link, let me know. I really like that product a lot. And I like doing just one in the morning, one in the afternoon, just like maybe for 6 months, maybe for a while, right? Maybe you take some NAC with it, N-acetylcysteine, which is kind of like a biofilm buster. can actually like release some of these bacteria a little bit better. And then you can kill them a little bit better. So can you DM me with like, just give me your name and give me your email and I'll put it in my full script and I'll send you a link. I really like that product to like, and I like NAC too. Maybe you want just need to do a little low level killing all the time. And if probiotics work for you, you could do I have a great probiotic from Pendulum that I really like. There's a couple of really good products that are coming out that are probiotics. I've always been a little sketchy about probiotics, like, are they alive? Do they really work? But there's a couple that are coming out that are really good. The company I like the most right now is Pendulum. It's great. So bloating is a big deal. And if you have bloating and inflammation in your gut, you make 80% of your serotonin in your gut. So if you have, and this is what I'm thinking about with these kids that like are depressed and anxious, and even us adults that are depressed and anxious and bloated, like, do you have enough good bacteria in your gut to actually make your serotonin in your brain? That's a big deal, right? And so then we're given serotonin, SSRIs, and stuff like that, medications, which, yeah, some people absolutely need. But is the root cause the fact that our microbiome is not as strong as it should be? It's something that I'm pretty suspicious about. So I'm wondering if that's something that we need to be working on as a population. Here's the thing, the good bacteria in your gut, they need to eat plants. They need plants. So they need veggies and they need fruits. They need those fibers to live off of, right? So I mean, I feel like the perfect thing would be just to really increase your veggie that you're eating if you can tolerate it. If you're bloated a lot, this is a hard thing to hear because sometimes it's hard to eat lots of veggies when you're bloated. But adding some veggies that you can tolerate, okay, would be helpful. Making sure you're eating enough protein and then just doing a killer do a killer for a long time. Switch out your killers. Keep going, keep going. There's biofilms. There's all sorts of guys in your gut that are great that we could kill off. That would be fine. So hopefully that helps. Lots and lots of bloating. So lots of reflux, and lots of autoimmunity. Do you guys have some autoimmune markers? Are you dealing with positive ANA? Are you dealing with Hashimoto's? Are you dealing with rheumatoid arthritis? I tend to get my patients on an autoimmune paleo diet in the beginning, just to really like kind of like really boring diet for a few weeks, just to kind of go veggies and meats. Can you just do that for a minute? Get the nightshades out, get the grains out, get the gluten and dairy out, get the nuts and seeds out, get it all out for a little while, and then slowly adding some things in, like adding some nuts and seeds, adding a little nightshades, and going off your symptoms. How does it make you feel, right? We want to find out how food is making you feel. So that's important to kind of notice like how you feel when you eat food. So someone's having some heart rate raises when I stand up and goes down when I sit. Do you feel dizzy when you stand up? Because POTS is really like if you're laying down and you stand up and you're like, whoa, and you get like sparkles in front of your eyes and you feel like you're going to pass out, that's POTS, right? Your blood pressure has to rally really fast and get up. And that's normal. You're supposed to be able to get your blood pressure up when you stand up. But if you can't get it up and you feel like you're dizzy, that's POTS. Now, I've been seeing a lot of POTS happening with with COVID. Right? COVID? Oh, yes. Yeah. If your vision goes black for a few seconds and you get dizzy and you have pot like symptoms, POTS symptoms, yeah, you probably have POTS. So